In part 2 of the FEH 10.5 refines, we're covering duo Eirika and Ephraim, plus the mythic remixes for Gotoh and Freyr. Duo young Eirika and Ephraim are a speedy sword infantry with a bit more defensive stats at the cost of attack. The young Renais twins are taking some inspiration from their Emblem form tag team. Blade of Renais got some good updates. It removed most of its prior conditions, but retains its slang and +5 stat boost. Eirika now gets 15 Excel type flat damage reduction. If she has any kind of bonus or penalty active, Eirika deals true damage equal to 40% of the greater of the foe's speed or defense stats. At the same time, Ephraim heals HP equal to half the amount of true damage you dealt. Last, the twins don't have brave attacks, but they do get a desperation effect that works on either phase. For the special upgrade part, as part of either phase, Eirika grants empathy and pulse follow statuses to allies within 2 spaces. As sort of player phase, she also hands out the range attack style to all melee allies nearby. For herself, Eirika gets another +10 stats in combat and has the 100% potent follow-up effect. We could call this Puissant, but technically Puissant Echo doesn't let you use brave hits. If you wanted to give Eirika her own ring, she would still be able to quad and get that 5th 100% potent hit. Backing up a bit, the young twins are basically emulating their Emblem selves, kinda. Instead of brave attacks, they will use desperation and the 100% potent effect to either attack twice in a row or 3 times in a row. Eirika still hands out empathy, but instead of bread type cooldown support, she now has pulse follow for -2 cooldown on the first follow-up attack. Last, you have the range attack style to emulate Windsword style, no adaptive damage though. Oh yeah, since they have a dual skill, you will need to either attack with the range style first or end turn, then get danced. Eirika can hand out dodge to allies, but with the new style, you can't do this immediately, which might be an issue. Now the trade-off is that Eirika is giving the range attack style to allies just like Mythic Shadow's Lyn. If you have a deadly melee team, well congrats, cause now they all get to attack from 2 spaces away. Honestly, this alone kinda already makes this refine pretty good. Tacking on empathy stats and pulse follow cooldown is just icing on the cake. Since we're talking about support power, let's just start with what else Eirika can add for the team. Eirika wants a couple things herself, like no follow-up if you replace her B skill, as well as tempo or at least no guard for consistent cooldown charging. To get tempo, the twins can fittingly use dual support for +5 attack and speed, 5 true damage, 5 flat DR, and tempo for allies from long range. Another good C skill is odd speed wave 4 for speed buffing and no follow-up. If you're not that inclined to have Eirika fight, she can always run favor in the B slot. Its damage and cooldown effects will be great with pulse follow and the range style. As for Eirika herself, she's going to attack 2 to 3 times in a row on both phases, unless the foe brings Hardy Bearing or outspeeds her. If Eirika isn't stopped, she will activate pulse follow on her first follow-up, and if you have the 100% potent third hit, then she can easily trigger 5 cooldown specials like Arch Rival or Comet. This is why I would recommend no guard or tempo. Now when it comes to special choices, you could use Comet, but I would go to Arch Rival instead. The consistent damage boost along with its guard and special uncharging effects would help if Eirika does need to tank a hit. Another higher cooldown option is Shatter Slash. Eirika could trigger this in 2 hits instead of 3. Going back to the passives, there's a whole bunch of options for melee infantry. If you use dual support for tempo, you can use Swift Spectre or Perfect Attack and Speed for no follow-up. You can also run Duelist Blow for tempo and just use the no follow-up Sacred Seal or Odd Speed Wave 4. If you have Attuned Realma, Tumultuous Echo would be great to get 3 movement with that range attack style. You can also pass on Duelist Blow and Attack and Speed Faith, that's a fine kit already. To fill in that B slot, again lots of options here. Eirika could use Harrowing Call or Nullsea Void for her dodge status. Low Finish will tack on more true damage for that special hit, plus deny enemy field buffs. If you want to not get doubled and neutralize enemy debuffs, Pair Up is great, plus it's another fitting skill for the twin dual unit. For other skills, Eirika has a distant counter A skill, but since she gives 3 statuses with her Refine, you could easily run D bonus amp for a modern DC option. DC Sacred Seals or Echo work fine too. You can also take Attuned to Eirika's Nullsea Disrupt for that. Remember, if Eirika survives an initiation, she is going to retaliate with all her attacks in a row due to desperation. Now if you want more cooldown, Eirika could run Momentum Echo for instant cooldown on the first hit. You could actually trigger Arch Rival immediately versus a green foe, and if you had Breath type cooldown from like Execution Breath, then Eirika could recharge Arch Rival with her second hit and Pulse Follow. That third potent hit could be like a second Arch Rival. Mr. Green Legendary Leon better watch himself. As for C skills, Brutal Tempest is good, but if you ran Swift Spectre, you could also run another Tempest variant. We'll probably start to see more upgrades of those. All in all, duo Eirika's Refine is definitely a fun one. The range attack style for multiple allies is quite good, and Eirika herself can function on either phase, depending on your build. Our next Refine and Remix goes to Light Mythic Gotoh. He's a colorless mage with low speed and quite a lot of bulk. Gotoh has added a decent amount of effects to improve his firepower and his defense. Brilliant Starlight will keep its old effects. The +6 defensive res and 80% DR versus AoE status for allies within 2 spaces will now trigger on both phases. Gotoh can get +5 Phantom res. He has Slaying, inflicts -6 attack and res, and neutralizes the enemy's attack and res field boss. Gotoh now gets 15 flat DR for all hits. Last, like before, he has no C Disrupt to always counterattack back, and he will heal 7 HP after combat. For the special upgrade part, for foes on the map with less res than Gotoh at the start of their combat, he inflicts -5 attack and res, 10 true damage, and scowls +1 cooldown before the foe attacks. For himself, Gotoh inflicts another -11 attack and res, and deals 25 true damage. So far, a lot of extra damage and defense. Gotoh now inflicts a whole bunch of other debuffs if he wins a res check. Scout from anywhere on the map is great, but keep in mind as a light mythic, Gotoh won't get blessing stat bonuses, so he might not tag everyone. Assuming he does win the res check though, the old man will inflict -22 attack and res on the foe for himself, and then he's going to hit them with 35 true damage. Add 15 flat DR as well for a pretty sizable improvement. For Gotoh's remixed Gift of Magic plus A skill, it too kept its old effects but got rid of its ranged foe conditions. A new effect is that at start of either phase, Gotoh grants Preempt Pulse, Attack Liberate, and Res Liberate statuses to allies within 2 spaces. He inflicts another minus attack and res, and now has true damage and flat DR equal to a special cooldown value times 4. If Gotoh has a 4 cooldown special for example, that would be 16 true damage and flat DR. For other effects, Gotoh gets a follow-up because Old Man's kinda slow. If he takes consecutive hits, the second hit onward will get 80% reduced damage. Previously, if foes initiated on Gotoh, he would give them Desperation to use up their attacks all at once, which would trigger the 80% DR. It's the same idea as Brave Ike's playstyle. Interestingly though, if Gotoh initiates now, he also gets Desperation. Gotoh's Refine and Remix added so many extra support perks. You got anti-AoE, defensive res field buffs, attack and res in combat buffs, attack and res debuffs, 10 true damage, scowl, and preempt pulse. On top of team support, the old man is coming for you with Desperation. If the 14 base speed old guy doubles you with his free follow-up, that's kinda on you. Now defensively, Gotoh now works against melee units, so you can have fun with that Close Transcend Sacred Seal. Gotoh is gonna let you double first, so that is kinda risky, but he will now stack that 80% regular DR with unpierceable DR specials, and if you run a high cooldown special, then Gotoh can get like 30 plus flat DR on top of his, -32 attack debuffs? It is quite a lot. For his free remix skill, Gotoh received Preempt Ploy. Another reason to stack flat res, and exposure means potentially 20 true damage for allies and 45 true damage for Gotoh himself. To synergize with his kit, Gotoh makes great use of Legendary Leon's kit. Attack and res Unrest is just like his Refine with a res checking global range debuff. Comet can give 40% DR on first attacks. It may not help for follow-ups, but that's where Gotoh's 80% DR can take over as long as the enemy doesn't have full DR piercing. In addition, Comet has its own -1 cooldown every turn. This means it's going to be on 3 cooldown thanks to Slaying. Well, when Gotoh initiates, he has the Preempt Pulse status and Preempt Ploy for -2 instant cooldown. His first attack will charge Comet, the Desperation follow-up will proc it. Obviously, if Gotoh doesn't double, that's an issue. However, Comet will charge every single turn, so Gotoh can immediately trigger Comet every other turn. If he gets attacked first, Gotoh will also just retaliate with Comet because he gets the -1 cooldown from getting hit. Guard effects will be able to mess up these game plans, so if you can get Temple, that would be pretty nice. For other specials, Gotoh can immediately fire off the 4 cooldown Ice Wall or Frost Moon. Logic requires a penalty to get -1 cooldown, but Pre-Employ should cover that. Logic could be stronger if you're only focusing on initiating. Gotoh would get 40% DR for all hits, which will stack with his 80% regular DR. Generally though, Comet works better if you want to fight on both phases or use things like Close Transcend. For other skills, Gotoh can run Havoc instead of Unrest. It's still a good skill. He can also run Attack and Speed Favor to pair with his defensive res buffs, plus more stat support and more cooldown support. If you don't want Gotoh to fight, that's fine, plus you can always charge up his special passively. Now it's not a team skill, but the new Demonic Force would be pretty spicy. It's got the same true damage and flat DR based on special cooldown value effect like Gift of Magic, and it comes with debuff neutralization plus Preempt Pulse. If you're keeping track with Gift of Magic's Preempt Pulse status, the Pre-Employ C skill, and now Demonic Force, that would be -3 instant cooldown. You can instantly trigger Comet every single turn. If you do end up sacrificing Fallen Male Violet, you might be able to also get dual support for Tempo support with Gotoh's Scowl effect would be great. As long as you don't mind not getting extra speed, Gotoh could also run Instruct to pass on more attack, defense, and res. He doesn't have the highest defense, but Breath of Life for instant healing would be another way to counter the AoE specials. Gotoh could also be the holder of things like Content Control. It's a good skill to at least slow down attackers if they do survive. In conclusion, Mythic Gotoh gets a lot of new ways to help his team out, and if he needs to fight, he can dish out some damage with a high cooldown special. Never underestimate the 14 base speed unit with Desperation and a follow-up. Pretty much a prime example as to why things like no follow-up is still important to have. Our last refine is for the literal animal mythic goat, Freyr. Freyr is a blue beast cav. He's pretty slow, but his main job is to just survive and protect his team from debuffs using his C skill. We can start with the remixed Dream Deliverer Plus. To no surprise, Freyr's 2-space penalty blocking shield is unchanged. Unlike units who can cleanse penalties after they are applied, Freyr prevents them from happening at the start of each phase. This is why so many debuffing effects now apply in the medieval phase. Those effects will get around Freyr's shield. Now, if Freyr can't block penalties, he has added more support. At start of either phase, grants plus 6 defense and res, fringe bonus, imbue, and resonant shields to allies within 2 spaces. For his own comet, Freyr gets plus 5 attack, defense and res, 7 true damage and flat DR, and he inflicts guard on the foe. The main standout for Dream Deliverer is that Freyr now hands out imbue for tons of instant healing, super strong perk for him. In addition, his plus 6 defense and res is going to get doubled in combat with fringe bonus, trying to find attack and speed buffs for the team as well. Onto the refine for Dreamhorn, the base weapon did not get changed at all. Freyr has slaying and inflicts attack and defense debuffs equal to 6, plus 50% of the highest total field buffs among himself or allies within 3 spaces. Freyr would deal 25 true damage, make a free follow-up attack, and he has 40% regular DR that works on AoE specials. As a reminder, when transformed, Freyr can inflict more attack and defense debuffs and get a one-time 30% DR effect. Stacking with the 40% DR from his weapon, that's about 58% damage reduction for one hit. Now onto the special upgrade part. For Freyr and allies within 3 rows or columns, grant plus 5 stats, neutralize debuffs in combat, and grant -2 cooldown before the foe attacks. For himself, Freyr gets 15 Excel type flat DR and defensive tempo to neutralize extra special charging perks. So generally speaking, Freyr bolsters his defensive power with more % DR and a good amount of flat DR. He can slow down high cooldown specials from charging, and he'll charge up his own with that Laguz friend type cooldown. Now when it comes to helping friends, Freyr still only protects his team from debuffs within 2 spaces. As mentioned, a lot of modern units can apply debuffs mid-phase, which will bypass Freyr's main benefit. Well, Freyr now adds fringe bonus, imbue, debuff neutralization, and Laguz friend cooldown support. Those are some excellent perks, especially imbue plus debuff neutralization. Everyone can use that. As part of his remix, Freyr will get defense res Fortune for free. This allows him to transform easier, so at least he'll get the extra debuffs plus 30% DR effects. Fortune also has a low attack and defense built in, which would replace Freyr's tier 4 B skill, and it provides 7 HP sustain, so it's a pretty decent skill. It also will help activate any beast-only skills that require transforming. That includes the brand new Sturdy Laguz special, 5 cooldown, 100% defense scaling, and 40% DR for first attacks. With Slang, Freyr will drop that to 4 cooldown, and his Laguz friend cooldown will bring it down to 2 before getting hit. When you're transformed, Sturdy Laguz actually grants bread type cooldown, so that will actually be enough to charge the special for Freyr's first counterattack. You can accomplish a similar feat with the 3 cooldown Sturdy Beast, but if you're not stopped, Sturdy Laguz is literally double the damage. As for Flame Wall or Ice Wall, while Freyr could have it in time to counter, you need to charge those specials to get the 40% DR effect. That, or you need to rely on the fail to trigger their special first. When it comes to B skills, Freyr doesn't have the most amount of options that stand out. I would say Patience would be pretty good, but to get the 30 speed for the potent hit, well, that will require serious investment like merges, dragonflowers, 8-hit accessories. I don't think many people are using a speed boon Freyr, so yeah, Patience is not for the average player. For other true damage or flat DR skills, you could use Reopening, but if Freyr doubles, it's less effective. Another option is Impetus Guard. It might not be the best for Sturdy Laguz, but the true damage and flat DR effects work as long as someone moves to initiate. If you'd rather go for more support skills, Freyr could use Favor or Detect, but not sure how effective those would be in the hands of the AI. Some people don't even like to run assist skills in Aether Raids. Now, for some other skills, Freyr could use the new Rival Break, which is just an upgraded Excel. I will say Gale Force Miss could work because if they try to bait Freyr into initiating, Gale Force Miss gives 40% DR for all hits taken. It's not going to give anything for enemy phasing though, so you will have to protect the goat before he sacrifices himself. Another thing about initiating is that Freyr has no Gotoh. You could use Bestial Assault, but that has no defensive components. On the opposite side of things, if you want a distant counter, then you have to use the A slot, so no Fortune skill. Fortifications could work if you have Divine Veins, or Freyr could use this in attack and defense form. As for Sacred Seals, I believe brand new this month is Squad A's DB3. This grants plus 6 HP and plus 4 defensive res. That is just really solid for a tank. Freyr can use any other stat boosters like Form or Catch, and Counter Roar can stack more percent DR with a little bit of true damage if you have Reflection. If you want Freyr to fight back against Desperation, you could use Hardy Bearing. For just pure tanking, Deflect Seals could work. There do be a whole lot of extra potent hits flying around. These days, there are many ways to get by Freyr's all-powerful penalty blocking shield, but he has added some new support effects his team can utilize in a fight. He's not the craziest combative unit, but if Freyr can make it to those higher cooldown specials, then you still have to watch out. That'll be it for part 2 of the 10.5 refines. Definitely a decent group, and there are some interesting new skills on the Fallen banner these units can use. Speaking of, next I will cover the Fallen Heroes banner itself. Stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, have fun with the new skills, and see you in the next video.